Now, what if I told you that public speaking is a skill that anyone can learn? Yes, anyone. Me and you. Now, I've been working on my public speaking for the last few years, and I'm so passionate about this topic. And now I'll put all my experience down in the description because I don't want to waste too much time, because you clicked on this video to become a better public speaker, not to listen to me waffle. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, honestly, this point is the most important one throughout the whole video. So if you're in a rush, just hear this point and then you can click off. In most cases, people don't remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel. Let me say that one more time. People don't remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel. And now to prove this, I want you to think of your favorite YouTube video, your favorite TED Talk, or your favorite speech. And I want you to try and remember 5 phrases from the talk. Now we can sit here from today till after tomorrow, but odds are you're not gonna remember much of what was said. But you know what you'll remember? You'll remember how that talk made you feel, how that video made you feel. And now when it comes to public speaking, or even just talking to people in general, people don't remember every single word we said. Now, I'm not saying words aren't important. Of course they are, especially if you're explaining a concept or you're in a meeting and you're going through an agenda and you want the people to remember some of the stuff. But even if that's the case, people will most likely remember how you made them feel, not what you told them. So this is exactly what we should start to focus on when we're doing our public speaking. Yes, we should focus on our words. Yes, we should focus on the script when it's needed. However, if we're not focused on how our speech or how our talk or how we speak makes other people feel, we might lose so much of the potential impact that we can have. And now a way you can work on this is by finding someone in your life that you feel comfortable with. And before you have your speech or your presentation, practice with that person. And after you finish presenting your speech or your presentation, ask them, how did that make you feel? But here's the very important point. You have to be willing to hear the honest answer. Because maybe they'll tell you, I felt bored. And that's okay. We've all been there. You felt bored by speeches. I felt bored by speeches. So the same way I felt bored and you felt bored about other people's speeches, other people have the right to feel the same way about yours. So it's nicer to know this from someone you're comfortable with before going up on stage. And also, maybe that someone will feel bored, but then when you do it in front of a different audience, they're gonna love it. So of course, don't take what one person tells you and change everything because of it. But you can do it in front of a few people, or at least a few people you're comfortable with. Like there's this thing my dad always tells me, it's like, if one person tells you there's something on your head, you can ignore it. If 2 people tell you, maybe you can think about it. But if 3 people tell you, then put your hand on your head just to make sure. So it's the same idea. If one person tells you it's boring, okay, you can ignore it. 2 people tell you, you can think about it. 3 people tell you, then maybe it is. So it's good to practice in front of people and get the feedback before having the presentation or the speech. Now, you know that feeling when you're talking in front of a big group of people and you forget your words and all you want is for the world to open up and take you in? Now, don't worry at all, because every single person who's ever done public speaking or anyone who's just talked in front of a big group of people has gone through that exact same feeling, including myself. But here's something that I've been doing that's really helped me whenever this happens. I always try to bring a bottle of water or a cup of water in case I forget my words. Now, when that moment comes, when you forget the story, when you forget the word you wanted to say, all you need to do is simply take a sip of water. Because as soon as you forget your words, you'll have a lifeline beside you. You'll give yourself a few seconds just to remember the story or to remember the words you wanted to say. And even if you don't remember what you wanted to say, you'll give yourself just a few seconds to think of what you can say instead. And now your genuineness, or how genuine you are, is your superpower. And now I heard this on a podcast and I haven't forgotten it since. Someone said, your mess is your message. Now, by no means am I telling you to go up on stage or to talk to a big group of people and share your whole life story with them, or to share so much vulnerability or so much depth, especially if you're not too familiar with the people. I'm not saying you should be doing that. But what I am saying is that when you share a genuine, honest story about yourself, people are way more likely to relate to that than if you perform, or if you over-exaggerate, or if you're not saying the truth. Because I promise you, people can feel the genuineness. People can feel the honesty. Which ties back to the earlier point that I was saying, that people don't remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel. So as long as you're genuine when you're on stage, and being genuine doesn't mean that you're not nervous. Like, sometimes showing that you're nervous in front of people is what will make you genuine. People relate to vulnerability and genuineness, not to performance. When you're performing and you're clearly not being yourself, people can sense that. But when you're being honest and when you're being genuine, I promise you, people will be able to feel it. Even if you mess up your words sometimes, it's completely okay. And now, just by a raise of hands, and I know it's just me and you, but please play along, who here runs away back to their seat as soon as they finish their presentation? Exactly. Now, honestly, this is something that I learned from one of the Toastmasters members, because she was saying that every time she finished her speech, she would quickly run back to her seat, and she didn't give herself a chance to take in the applause and feel the presence of finishing her speech. And then I realized that I do that every single time I finish a presentation or a speech or anything where there's like a bit of an applause after. But then, as soon as she mentioned that, the next time I did my speech, as soon as I finished, I fought the urge to run back to my seat, and I stood there and I took the applause, and it made me feel so much more confident. And now I want you to try to do this. When you finish your presentation, don't run back to your seat. Don't run off the stage. Stay in the center of the stage and take in the applause, because you deserve it. You just finished your speech or your presentation. And now I know that this doesn't directly help you when you're doing your speech or presentation, but I promise you it will give you confidence, because you'll feel something after you finish that speech that will motivate you to want to do another one. Because as soon as we finish that hard part of doing the speech, we just run away. But if we stand there and we take in the applause, it will give us the confidence for the next speech that we're gonna have. And now this point is also so important. And I feel like I've said that about every single point. But honestly, there's so much value in this when you start practicing it. But please, 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 allow for the silence to exist. Now, this is especially true if you're explaining an in-depth concept, or if you're sharing a heavy story. When you're saying a story that has so much depth to it, you want the people in the audience to take in what you've just said. Because if you're constantly filling in all the silence, you're not going to give the audience an opportunity to take in what you've just said. And this is also true if you're sharing a story with a group of people, and it's a story that has a lot of vulnerability, or a story that has a lot of depth, or maybe a bit of suspense. You want to use the silence to your advantage. Don't get awkwarded out by the silence, if that's even a word, which I'm basically trying to say, don't feel awkward when there's silence. It's very normal. And like I said, the silence will allow the people to feel the words, to feel your story. It will give them a chance to process what you've just shared. Now, the silence will be super duper awkward the first few times, and 2 seconds of silence are gonna feel like 700 minutes of silence. But the more you do this, the more comfortable you will feel with it, and your story will have so much more power. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed our conversation and that I've given you something to think about. And if there's one quote that I want to leave you with, and I know it might sound harsh, but I promise you it's very liberating. You're not that important. Get over yourself. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And like I always say, this is the Debo's way. Find your own way. I'll see you soon. Peace.